When we started VisionEdge Marketing in 1999, we began with the idea that marketers needed to be more data-driven and more focused on how to improve the value of marketing. We started having conversations with marketers about what they do in order to demonstrate their impact and their value. And in 2004, we came out with our second book, Measure What Matters. Over the course of more than a decade, we've been doing research in the area, and our latest book, Metrics in Action, delves into what some of these best-in-class marketers do better and differently. We also have a lot of data from annual research that we've been conducting, and we thought we would share with you some of the key things these best-in-class marketers bring to the conversation and to the table. If you're wondering whether accountability is still a topic of interest, it continues to be in the headlines. And we all know about the study by IBM in 2011 that sort of reignited the conversation when they said that only about 44% of CMOs feel fully prepared to be held accountable for marketing ROI. At the end of last year, eMarketer shared a study on the fact that measurement challenges still stump marketing executives. And this year already, we've had a number of studies that have been looking at marketing ROI, and one particular one said that marketers know they need ROI, but they can't really agree on what it is. This comes after the conversation that Fournets brought to the table this year, which said that over 70% of chief executives believe marketers are actually disconnected from business results, and they're focusing on the wrong areas, which was echoed in Forrester's study on evolved CMOs, which said that CMOs must tie marketing closer to business results if they're going to be able to prove their value and justify the investment that marketing is making on behalf of the organization. Ad Age CMO Strategy reported that a study that found that marketers don't practice ROI that they preach, and all of this culminates in a key message to marketers that those of us in the discipline need to be concerned about those marketers that will be joining our ranks, because future marketers of tomorrow don't understand the importance of measuring, according to the study done by If by Phone. So accountability, measuring marketing effectiveness and value are still very important areas for marketers to be addressing. There are a few exceptional marketers out there, and we call these the best-in-class marketers. But the majority of marketers really don't make the grade when it comes to the C-suite's perception of marketing's ability to demonstrate its value and impact to the organization. Let's take a look at how marketers stack up. So we have over the last number of years been doing this study, and here's 5 years of results. And as you can see, it's a very common curve. In each instance, we have a few number of marketers that are these power dogs, these superstars, a larger number that are a little bit above average, and then still a significant number that are the brown shoes or the everyday folks, and then a small number that are not performing. So what would let you know whether you're an A, B, C, or D without doing such a study of your own, or doing such an internal diagnostic? Well, there are a number of warning signs, or actually language, that you can detect in an organization, whether it's at the water cooler, in the coffee room, or behind doors in the boardroom. And if you are hearing things that sound like this in your organization, then odds are that you're not among the superstars. Our marketing organization focuses too much on the creative and doesn't think enough like business people. We hear this often from the C-suite, that they expect marketers to be in touch with the business and to think like the rest of the organization in terms of being business oriented. They believe that marketing is getting data and measurement under control. They're getting inundated, in fact, by lots of information, but they're having a very difficult time relating that data back to measures of success in organizations where there are a preponderance of B and C players. When you hear that the C-suite talking about marketing always asking for more money, but if they can't explain how what incremental business is going to result from those investments, that's another red flag. Or if your organization tends to talk about marketing in terms of brand value, brand equity, but the leadership team can't see the link between the marketing activities back to revenue or customer acquisition or market share and sales. You might be one of those marketers that's in the B and C on the B and C points on the curve. If you're talking about the latest marketing trends, and we're very guilty of this in marketing, always chasing after the next shiny toy, whether that at one time was SEO and pay-per-click, and now it's social or mobile. If we're talking about that and trying to convince our leadership team that they need to leverage it, but we really can't demonstrate how it's going to generate more business for the company, chances are we are flirting with this same issue of not being able to demonstrate our value. And then lastly, when we ask marketing to be more accountable and increase ROI, what we hear from these folks in these organizations is that the C-suite isn't necessarily connecting accountability and ROI with cost reduction. Yet the marketers in these organizations take that directive to really mean that they need to reduce their costs rather than being more effective. So if you hear any of these things in your hallways, or that resonates with your organization, then you might want to take some different steps in order to move from whatever point you're on into that elite group of marketers that are receiving the A's. Let's go back and remind ourselves why companies invest in marketing. I think that'll give some insight momentarily into what the A's do differently. The C-suite gives money to marketing organizations to make investments that are going to create preference and consideration. And they want marketing organizations to be able to acquire more customers, to acquire them faster and less expensively, because they believe that the most important purpose of the business is to create a customer. So while we may talk a lot about generating revenue, the real key to revenue is creating customers. And so marketing's primary job should be to think about the role it plays in creating customers, keeping customers, and growing the value of those customers. We need to have measures and other ways and data and analytics that demonstrate we're getting the job done. Otherwise, we're going to see these organizations reallocate the investments to another organization, our counterparts in sales, where they'll put more feet on the street. So let's see what the A's do differently. And there are a number of things these best-in-class marketers do in several key areas different from the rest of the pack. First, they're more focused on measuring marketing. And even though they're still challenged by data, internal processes, and reporting, less so than their counterparts. And they are significantly better at analytics, and they are doing whatever they need to do to acquire the knowledge on how to improve effectiveness. So rather than being really focused on efficiencies, they're really looking at how to be more effective. So what do the A's actually do differently? Well, one of the things they do differently is that they have marketing performance measurement and management as a top priority. In fact, one of their top 3 priorities. And they recognize that in order to get that A, there's 2 key things they need to do extraordinarily well: alignment and accountability. The CMO Council report on driving performance said today's marketing requires better data, analytics, forecasting, modeling, higher levels of accountability, performance dashboards, a wider embrace of marketing automation, and processes. These are all the components or foundations for performance management. And performance management, while it's been around a very long time in a number of entities within an organization, it has found its way to marketing. And essentially, performance management is the process of measuring progress toward achieving key outcomes and objectives. And the purpose of that is to optimize performance, whether that's an individual or a group or the organization. And so those A's, they have performance management as one of their top priorities, and they are looking at the process of measurement from the perspective of how to optimize the performance of the marketing organization. So what do these A's do in order to become these superstars? There's 5 key things they focus on. One we've already mentioned, alignment. And what they've done is they've found a way to create direct line of sight between marketing activities and business results. And of course, the second thing that they've identified is accountability. They've been able to select the right metrics, and they've been able to create a dashboard that enables them to make fact-based decisions and to make strategic recommendations, while at the same time delivering information about how effective marketing is in terms of moving the needle for the business. They have delved into analytics. They've taken the analytics charge by the horn, so to speak, and they immerse themselves in data, not for the sake of data, but in order to gain insights from that data and to build models they can use to help them drive the business. They have invested in processes, systems, and tools. They've built the infrastructure in order to create automation, marketing technology, and marketing intelligence to support the work they need to accomplish. And they are, these superstars are all about continuous improvement. They're not afraid to understand where their gaps are and to address those gaps, to benchmark themselves against other best-in-class marketers, and to do audits around their organization to find out what gaps they need to close. So let's take a look at the first two things in detail, alignment and then accountability. So by alignment, they are really working from a well-defined set of quantifiable outcomes. They realize that these outcomes are the foundation for everything they do. They understand what the business needs to do in order to be successful, and they have clarity around how the organization expects marketing to impact the success or the achievement of these outcomes, and therefore understand how to measure their contribution. They employ some kind of alignment technique, perhaps something like our patent-pending excellence mapping methodology. It's not the only way to approach it, but it's one way because it gives a visual representation that shows this connectivity from the top to the bottom. They also understand that their metrics are more than what they can, they're more than just demand generation oriented metrics, more than just about talking about leads. They realize that their job is to acquire, keep, and grow the value of customers, and so they understand they play a significant role in market share, customer lifetime value, and customer and brand equity. And so their metrics look at things beyond just pipeline, but also things such as share of preference or rate of acquisition, purchase frequency, share of wallet, and new product acceptance or adoption rates. Things, again, that are more than just how many new names they put into a marketing automation platform and the conversion of those names into a CRM system, which we've become very invested these days in a number of marketing automation tools. But remember, those are just tools, and if they're not configured properly and we're not looking at them in terms of the context or holistic picture, they may not serve us as well as they could. These A's understand that there are a variety of metrics and that these metrics run on a continuum. This is one example of a continuum. It's not the only one. But the A's, when they're communicating to the C-suite, are looking at metrics at the top half of this type of a continuum, although they might still be reviewing and capturing data related to the bottom half in order to run the marketing organization more efficiently. So the top is more about effectiveness and the bottom is a little bit more about efficiency. So if we think about the output-based types of metrics, which come from all the tools that we have today at our fingertips to understand click-through rates or trade show leads or site registrations or number of new contacts or leads generated, these are output-oriented, while interesting and important, don't really show the C-suite the relationship between marketing and the business. Of course, we have operational type metrics, which are very important in terms of figuring out what we can do in order to accelerate our capabilities around and in order to improve our efficiencies, such as campaign ROI or program to people ratios or awareness to demand ratios. Again, useful in terms of fine-tuning the organization, but don't necessarily tie back to effectiveness. Where we start to make a difference is when we select outcome-based oriented metrics, begin to collect the right kind of data and perform the right kind of analytics to build out leading indicators, and then eventually being able to capture patterns and trends of behavior that we can use to develop models to help predict future types of behavior from customers in terms of, for example, upsell and cross-sell or lift from a marketing campaign. This is in the area of predictive analytics and modeling. All of this information somehow or another needs to be captured in a way that is visually impactful and compelling And this is the result of developing actionable dashboards, which these A's, again, these power dogs, have become more adept at. They use these dashboards in order to facilitate fact-based decisions. Their goal is to be able to make strategic recommendations as a result of what they're capturing on their dashboard, while at the same time showing how marketing is contributing to the business. They recognize that the metrics and KPIs are all linked to each other along that framework, and it has a connection to their actual marketing plan and the alignment that they were creating between the activities and the business results. And they use that in order to have the building blocks for their dashboard. All of this takes the ability and skills associated with analytics and data. A CMO Council report in 2012 also talked about the fact that 40 to 46% of marketers plan to deploy some type of data analytics in the next 12 to 18 months. We all recognize the need to build up our analytical muscle. And the reason is that we want to be able to derive some type of actionable insight from all the data that we're collecting. We're being inundated by data. There's more and more of it coming in every day. The customers are generating more data than ever before. We just need to figure out how to capture it, manipulate it, and then analyze, synthesize, and use it and apply it. These A's recognize that analytics enables them to facilitate better and faster fact-based decisions. They also want to be able to use the analytics in order to show the link between the marketing programs and the results and impact on customer consideration, preference, loyalty, and share of wallet, and of course the financial results. And in some way or another, they want to be able to have the analytics establish some degree of accuracy in the outcomes that they're going to be able to achieve. So this goes back to the predictability or the predictable nature of what they're trying to drive. None of this can really be done if we don't have the right infrastructure in place. So these A's have invested in a number of systems, tools, and processes. Again, they see these tools or their infrastructure as vehicles for facilitating the end result, not the end result in itself. So they'll have systems, tools, and processes around metrics alignment, data collection and analysis, metrics and performance target setting, and monitoring and measuring and reporting or dashboard development. Most of this information resides inside their marketing operations arm, which is what enables them to be a center of excellence. As we mentioned earlier, these A's all are focused on continuous improvement on a regular basis. They're always looking for ways to be better. They want to create highly functional marketing organizations. So they use audits and benchmarking as ways to identify areas that are weak that they want to shore up. They also use assessment as a way to examine marketing's alignment, processes, systems, and tools and skills, because what they believe is that if they do these things well, they're going to be able to create a competitive advantage for their organization. So in closing, let's take a look again at these A's and 6 things that anybody can do to move themselves into the Power Dog or Superstar group. You can align and link to the business. Find some way to build that alignment such that it's very, very clear, or there's direct line of sight for the leadership team between what you're doing in terms of marketing and the investments that you're making and the results that you're producing. These organizations set customer-centric, measurable marketing objectives. They focus on acquire, keep, and grow, and they remember that consideration and preference is what they're driving. They adopt a metrics framework that helps them select the right types of metrics. They aren't foregoing all of the metrics along the continuum, but the right types of metrics to populate the executive level dashboard. And they're focusing on what they're doing in terms of acquiring more of something faster, less expensively. They are selecting outcome-based performance targets for all of their programs so that when they do produce their dashboard, they can relate that back to what they said they were going to do and what the agreement or commitment was they made and exactly how well they performed. They are continuously measuring and reporting. We hope you found this information helpful. Some other resources to support your journey can be found on our website at VisionEdgeMarketing.com. Marketing Metrics in Action, or our workbook, It's More Than Money on the Line, Creating Metrics to Measure Marketing's Effectiveness, Impact, and Value. We welcome any comments. You can reach me at laurap@visionedgemarketing.com. Thank you very much.